coming out and attending our training, and we're excited for you guys to be here because we have an unbelievable training prepared. And for the people that are here for the very first time that are learning a little bit about our organization, we do have an orientation for new people that are just getting exposed to the financial services industry and our company in general. And we're going to talk a little bit about why we are aggressively looking for talent. And we are because the market demands more people that can actually go out and help people with their money. Are people suffering out there financially? Yes. I mean, we're in the richest country in the world, but in probably the richest 2 or 3 counties in the country, but we see what's happening out there. We see that people aren't getting to where they want to be. They're not living the way that they want to live. They're not retiring the way that they want to retire. They're not retiring when they want to retire. And we feel, and our thought and our philosophy is it's because people aren't being taught what to do. Because if they had the information, if they had the knowledge, if they knew something different, then they would do something different. Right. The problem is people aren't telling them what to do. And if people aren't telling them what to do, how can they do it? So that's why we're aggressively looking for people that we can train, develop, coach, and mentor the financial services principles that have been time-tested for decades, but teaching them to people, middle-income families that are neglected by every other company. See, there are companies that go out there, they educate people on money and finance, but who are they talking to? The people that already have the money. You're talking to the wealthy. They're called wealth management because they're only going to help people that already have what? Money, wealth. What do they constitute money? $250,000 minimum. I talk to people from these companies and they're, like a TD Wealth or, they're not going to help people with less than $750,000. Where's that leave most people? Where's that? Right. Where's that leave our friends? Where's that leave our family? Where's that leave our coworkers? Where's that leave all the people that we want to see do well, and it locks them out? But we're a different kind of company. We're a kind of company that champions the people that just, they may not have the money now, but they want to get there. They just need a coach, a mentor, somebody that, they can relate to, they can provide these principles for them, and they can enact them. So that's why we do things like this, because we are looking for talent. We're not looking for somebody with the background. We're looking for somebody that has a good heart that we can teach the background to. And once we do that, we can go out there and we can make some change. And that's why we do this. And that's why we invite new people to see our environment. And we invite people that are already here to continue to refine their skills so they can get better and impact the community. And if that sounds like it resonates with you, you might be in the right place. And if you just want to learn for yourself, you could also still be in the right place, even if you want to apply these principles for yourself. So we do have a little bit of recognition before we break off into our orientation for new people. So in financial services, it's a regulated industry. You can't just get into finance when you're really dealing with something that's as important as somebody's money and their financial future. You have to get certified. You have to get licensed. It's a regulated industry. You have to get a state license. So last week we actually have, every couple weeks we have a class that's geared towards preparing people to pass that state exam. And we had a couple people that went out there and did that this past week, and we want to make sure that we recognize them for the job that they did. And we had 2 people. So who actually recruited? Okay, so come on up and we'll have you just talk a little bit and introduce yourself.
All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. So Kayla, she's actually a good friend of mine from high school, and I did it was kind of like a Christian youth group, kind of like thing that we did, and I was one of the leaders, and Kayla, she was also one of the leaders with me, and so that's how I met Kayla, and she's also, I don't know if you guys remember Mateo, but she's also Mateo's girlfriend. So, I initially tried to get Mateo to come out to one of the op nights, and I was kind of struggling with that, so I was like, okay, well, I'll work with Kayla, and I'll get Kayla to get Mateo to come. I got Kayla out here. I was like, hey, Kayla, started this new thing with kind of just kind of looking to make a career change, and I want you to come check it out. It might be something that you're interested in. She came out to the op night. She She loved it. Signed up that same day she came out to the op night, and yeah, she's been rolling. She's been rolling, really putting in the effort, going on KTs. She studied, passed her exam. That was really good. She took the class, and I mean, we took it together. Scheduled the exams pretty close to each other. She took hers first, I took mine after her. But yeah, she's been rocking and rolling, and she's ready to do some big things out there. But yeah, Kayla, superstar. She's gonna be doing some big things coming up.
First of all, I'm going to give kudos to, where is he? The esteemed professor of insurance law, rules and regulations, Ricardo Vargas, who teaches that class. University of even better in higher education, unlimited income. But Peter, we met just a couple weeks ago. He's a server working at a counter in a restaurant. And came in, got signed up, took the class, and last Saturday, if you know, we were really overcrowded in the class. Yes. So Peter didn't even get a notebook, takes notes from everything Dr. Vargas said, went home and studied those notes. That's what he had to study. And went in Wednesday morning, first time passed the exam.
So you seem to like to have a little bit of fun. You know? Yeah. Most people come in from different backgrounds, and as you start to talk to and meet different people, you see that there's a whole spectrum of career fields, but we didn't want this to look like where you came from, right? Because most people aren't super excited about going to their job or working there for the next 20, 30, 40 years. So we wanted this to be an environment that's welcoming, that's fun, that's exciting, that's enthusiastic, where you can come in here and be recognized for the things that you do right. Because at our job, what happens? We get recognized for the things that we do what? Wrong. At our job, usually the wrong. Right? Isn't that true? Hey, come into my office and close the door. Right? We get reprimanded, right? And that's the recognition that we get at our job, but that's not what we do here. Now, we'll coach you, we'll mentor you, we'll tell you how we can improve in certain areas, but we want to recognize people for the things that they do right. So that's why we do this. So if you are here for the very first time and you're going to sit in our orientation with one of our founders of our office, Samir, raise your hand if you're here for the very first time. Okay, so raise them high so we can get a gauge of how many people that are going to be there. It's okay. So do me a favor. You're going to go to our conference in the back here, and you can follow Mike with his hand up there. And let's give our visitors a round of applause. Really exciting stuff. Obviously, we went out to learn a little bit more about the investment world and the people that were in our leadership training yesterday. We got a little piece of that, but he's going to, from what we were talking about, expand on that a little bit more and talk a little bit more about the compensation. Because he threw something out there, like somebody got handed the $300 million business, and I don't think a lot of people really comprehended that were in our leadership training yesterday what that really means and how the residual income really works and why you want to build not only assets under management in your securities, but also a team that can bring in more assets under management as well. So we're going to dig into that a little bit. But who has their, and we talked about the life licenses, but who has their U4 out that is looking to get a license? Right? So where are we at in that process? How's that going? Well, after we talk a little bit more about the compensation, maybe that'll incentivize you to kind of turn the pressure up and get that license even sooner. So let's talk about our leadership award, our leadership recognition, the top turnout, and it's always about a head count, right? So what's happening tonight? Right. Oh yeah. Right. So I mean, what is the compensation? I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, how much money are they going to be made with? Hundreds of millions. 300 million? 100 million. So $400 million is getting paid out now. Are they worth that amount of money?
Yes.
Yeah. Why? Because people are buying the fight. They have people in the stands. They have people ordering the fight. So if you can get people in a room, you're worth the money. That's how it works in business, and that's how it works here. The more people that you can get in a room, the more money that you're going to make. So that's why every single week we recognize the people that are getting people in the room. And if you make that habitual of thinking about a head count, how many people that you can get in front of, in the room, getting the exposure, getting the knowledge, getting the environment, the more money that you're going to make. Because we heard this a long time ago, Primerica is not taught, Primerica is what? Caught. You catch it through repeated exposure, just like an infectious disease, right? Isn't that true? An infectious disease, if you're around it enough, you're going to catch it. That's how Primerica is. The head count, the more people that you can have around it, exposed to it, the more people that are going to catch it, and what that means for you is more money, right? So let's recognize the people that have had the most people here today. So if you are district leader and below, do me a favor and please stand up. So our current reigning champion is Tara, and she's actually been the champion for 6 weeks in a row. And it appears as if she's not willing to let that title go, but I guess we'll see again today. So if you have one person with you, please remain standing. You got this together, right? Yeah. 2 people. 3. All right. 4. 4 total, right? 5. Are you going to break the 6-week record? That's what you want to work on next. Because if you dominate here, then when you move up to the next level, you're going to dominate that as well. So dominate where you're at. Division leaders. Stand. So current reigning champion, Elson and Dominic. They've been there 2 weeks in a row. All right, 2, 3, 4, 5. New champion. All right, 6. You both have 6? Okay, you both have 5?
I have felt those ones.
So you have 6, 5. So Richard Kessinger, new champion. So if you're regional, please stand up. Start with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So still up. Okay. So you're down. 12. Well, Chandel said they have 4. So how many? 14? Is that confirmed? 14? All right. All right. So remaining champion, Chandel and Mike Doty. All right. What you aspire to do is to have a base shop with multiple RVPs, but your base shop still has 30 people in training, right? So I'm going to recognize Shaq because he doesn't, like I said, like to do it himself, but 30 people in training after having 7 RVPs in the office, that's the standard, but we still want to see where the rest of the RVPs are at, because this is where we want to get to as a baseline, right? And then start to promote out RVPs even after that, right? So RVPs, please stand up. Right. So 10, 11, 12. So we have a Samir count. Oh, yeah, more. 24 for Samir. And then how many? So we have 15, we have 24, and then 26. Right, so very, very close for Samir to take the title, but we still have the standard Shaq and Islam Fresh Performance Diamonds at #1. So let's give a hand to the Islam-based shop. Now we're going to hear from Shaq, and you really think about what this man has created. I mean, you look at the room here, you look at the room over there, you look at how many test passes we even had last week, 2 or 3. Imagine that. Imagine if you could have a team that's recruiting 2 or 3 or 4 people as far as passing the exam every single week, and what that will turn into, what that will create for you, what kind of income that will generate, and what kind of income it will generate passively. But the great thing about our business is Shaquille Islam started by himself. He started with one person, it was just him, and he created an army of people that are going to go out there and duplicate that process and get more, but we all have the opportunity to do the exact same thing. So from the person that started it all in our office National Sales Director. Give a huge round of applause for her.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing? Great. All right. So let's get started. We have great training prepared. I'm glad that you guys are here. All right. I got a couple of things I want to cover. We're all over the place. So big fight tonight. Who's watching the fight? Who's betting on the fight, more importantly? Any stupid McGregor bets out there? I'll take them right now. Same odds as Vegas. Nobody? You don't have no money either. Broken lottery ticket. That you can't cash. So yes, I know Dante, you talked about it. The guaranteed fight purses for tonight. Mayweather's going to make $100 million guaranteed. McGregor will make $30 million guaranteed. After the pay-per-view sharing, Mayweather may make $250 and McGregor will make $100 million. So, and the last Mayweather fight, I actually was there. I didn't go to the fight, but I was in Vegas for the fight. I love Vegas. Love gambling, love casinos. So I don't know how my wife let me go. I'm still to this day, it's a mystery. But it was, so just, at the airports in Vegas right now, there's so many private jets. They had to shut the private jets from coming in. And basically it's going to be like an Uber for private jets because they can't handle that many private jets. So they have to, usually, like say I've never flown private, but say I fly private and Dante's my pilot, right? He comes there and he waits there. And then I just go watch my sporting event, I watch the game, I watch the match, the boxing fight, and then I just get on. I don't have to check in, I just go and I leave. That's it, right? So they can't do that because there's so many private jets coming in today that they have to go and then leave. So it's going to be like Uber for private jets today in Vegas. There's a few like hot spots in Vegas. Okay, Dre's is one. There's a place called Dre's, right? Like when I was there for the Mayweather Pacquiao fight, Drake was playing there, and it was like whatever, $30,000 for a table. The tables at Dre's are $100,000. The manager was like, people are spending my annual salary for one night. Wow. Why? Because, like Dante said, you have two of the, forget the fighters, we don't know about, I don't care about best promoters. It's not fighters. Obviously, we want to see them. It's, everybody, and for me personally, I love boxing. I'm a huge De La Hoya fan. That was my guy. I love De La Hoya. He was like the first guy that was worth, outside the heavyweights, that was worth a lot of money. Okay, then Mayweather kind of really took it up a notch because the sport is bigger. But De La Hoya was like, he was worth like $200 million. He's big time. They call him the Golden Boy because he was just a lot of money. So I used to grow up watching him. So Mayweather and McGregor are a little bit too flashy and trash talking for me. But whether you like McGregor or not, okay, 5 years ago he was on welfare. He was collecting welfare checks. Wow. Waiting in line, and I think they said that his monthly check, and Rich, you may know this more than me, was like $200 a month. Yeah, 1 month. It was like $187 a month. And they asked him, I was telling Josh, they asked him and said, could you see yourself where you are right now? Okay? So within 4 years, he's basically the biggest star in the UFC, and UFC is a $4 billion company. He's a 2-division title holder, which has never happened. And the UFC has been around for a long time, 15, 20 years, right? And now he's going to make $100 million in one night. $100 million. From 5 years ago, collecting a 200, we'll call it a week. I think it was, a month. Is it a month? Does somebody confirm that?
Yeah.
Okay. $200 a month welfare check. He said, could you see yourself where you are? No one could see it. No one, this is where did he come from? He said, of course I could. He said, if I didn't see myself here, how would I be here? And he didn't say it arrogantly. He said it like, I had a vision, I had a goal, I had a plan, I worked at it. He said, of course if I didn't see myself here, how would I be here? Successful people have life by design. Dante, what I have done is nothing. Okay, it's nothing compared to someone. That's what. See, if I see somebody that can go from welfare to make $100 million a night, you can go RVP. You can get a couple district leaders. You can do 10 grand personal. Right? I see it all the time in sports. I remember a long time ago, the Dolphins. They were worst in the AFC East. And they had a little bit of luck. Brady got hurt that next year. But they went from worst to first. They were like 1 in 15, right? They were 1 in 15 and then became first place in the AFC East. Made it to the playoffs and everything. If they can do that in the NFL, I mean, you know how bad you are if you're 1 in 15? I mean, Redskins been terrible for a bunch of years, right? 5 and 11. 1 in 15 is like, go back to D1 college. You guys suck. Then they were first in the AFC East. If they can do that, you can get a promotion. If they can do that, you can pass your securities. If a guy collecting welfare checks, man, living on $200 a month 4 or 5 years ago, like 2012, and he's making $100 million, but he's been making $2 or $3 million a fight for the last 4 or 5 fights. He's going to make $100 million. But he had a vision. He had a plan. He had he worked his plan. So it got me thinking about money, right? There's nothing wrong, right? No, Rodney, I gave you some money. I usually don't carry around cash because I lose it, right? But some of you guys are allergic to money, right? You got hives right now. I'm serious. You got it. I don't know where we get it from. Television, some, and I just gotta say it. I don't know where you guys go to worship, okay? But in my place, sometimes they demonize it. I'll be honest with you. I hate saying that, but I was like, look, you cannot say these things. Be careful. Your money doesn't go with you. Really? Like, why say that? I get what you're saying, but how many people does that apply to in here? Everybody's broke. Like, does that make everybody feel better? I can understand if you say, like, my dad might say it to me. He say, look, make sure you pray. Make sure you do this. This doesn't make you better. Okay, I got money. Like, why are you saying to a bunch of broke people? And I'm not trying to be funny or rude or arrogant, but it's just like, and I'm being honest. And like, that's a confession for me. I'm not proud about that, but at my mosque, there's a lot of times they talk, and I'm like, man, for me, that doesn't, that's one thing. And sometimes Sunday mornings you flip through the TV, you see Joel Osteen. I love what he talks about, because he's all about abundance and growing and just everything. I'm like, man, that's good. And I don't think he does it in a, he's the guy that, sometimes they go and they raise money and they're like, hey, look, we need to donate because I need a helicopter to travel then. I'm not saying it like that, But he's just about you going out and being the best you can be. And I started thinking about money. Dante and I were talking this morning. And we started talking, and obviously, for some of you guys know, I was in California for the last, 4 or 5 days last week. I was out there for a conference for a couple of days, and I told a story yesterday in Saturday, Friday training that Kelvin got me really excited. I mean, it had a huge impact on me. And I was there with about the top 100 financial advisors. Well, not the top 100, but the upper echelon financial advisors in the country. And there was about 100 people there, and these guys were a lot better than me. Okay, I kind of was begging for a bunch of years to finally get and it very well could have been affirmative action. I'm not hating. Okay? That's cool. It's about my time anyway. But I met somebody, and he was a young guy. He was probably around my age, maybe a few years older than me, which is very, very young in financial advising. Okay? There was only one guy outside of Samir that was younger than Samir. He was 32. Okay, and I met somebody, a meeting planner in the elevator, and she said to me that they do these conferences once a month, and there's about 100 people that they do every time, and only 10 are minorities. 10 out of the 100 are minorities, women or anybody of any ethnicity. And she actually said less than 10. Okay, so always remember that is. I wasn't upset. I was like, there's a huge opportunity for us, for not just me personally, but our team, to go help communities and recruit different people, and man, because you gotta get ahead of the market. Always remember that. You have to get ahead of the market. And so one guy, they were talking at lunch, Kelvin, and he said he was managing a $300 million book of business, which is a lot. And we're like, how'd you get that? And he goes, well, my business partner, her dad actually gave her this book of business. So I started thinking immediately, wow. And in the investment world, that could be as much as $10 to $15 million a year. I mean, on the small side, it'd be $5 million a year. And so I started thinking about my kids, right? And I started thinking about, man, when I give my kids my book of business, my book of clients, the passive residual income, the lifetime passive residual income. Then Dante, I started thinking a little differently. And I started thinking about my dad. Okay? And if you guys know me, you know how much I love my dad. My dad is I always think about it, my dad immigrated here. He left a war. There was a civil war. And the side that my dad was on was the side that was actually getting severely persecuted. Okay? So, severely persecuted. My dad told me one time he was sleeping in his little dorm, or not dorm, but a room, and there was an alarm clock right by his head because, the bombs were so loud, if you didn't put the alarm clock next to your head, you wouldn't wake up. Because you trained yourself to sleep through bombs. Gunfire. And he slept through his alarm, and when he woke up, a bullet hit the freaking clock and saved his life. Wow. That's my dad. My dad's a PhD. My dad went to Alabama. A lot of you guys know that now. He did his master's and PhD from West Virginia. And I was born in West Virginia. That's why I'm a big West Virginia fan. But my dad was in Alabama. And he was in Alabama in the 60s. That was not an easy place. My dad's not white. So he didn't come into, he came into kind of like, I guess it was a little past that, but, civil rights movement, segregate. My dad was like, no, we had separate bathrooms, we had this, we had that, all that stuff. But he came here for opportunity to give me, I'm here because my dad. I'm able to go to these and have these stories about Vegas and California because my daddy did something. And he left, and he didn't see his mom. My dad's dad died when he was very young. He could write letters. He didn't see his mom for 11 years. Wow. talk about sacrifice. For me, I wasn't even born, but he wanted to give his kids and now grandkids a much better life, right? And that's why I just have so much, and then obviously my dad was just a great guy, great husband, great religious person. And if you ever have the opportunity, a lot of you guys have met my dad. My dad, in a funny way, he's almost unworldly, right? I mean, you met my dad. He's just a great person, And so I started thinking, my dad worked for 40 years though at the federal government. I worked for 41 years as a government. I mean, and my dad is frugal. My dad was a worker. He was a grinder. Never missed a day of work. And carpool every day. Right? I remember when I started driving, sometimes my dad broke his arm one time. I had to go drop him off at the carpool, go to DC. He'd leave at 5, 6 in the morning, come back 6 at night. He wasn't me. He wasn't an entrepreneur. He didn't understand these things. He worked. And he said, I'm going to work hard and get a pension. That's why he did it. So I'm going to work hard, and my dad had a plan. He said he put all 3 kids through college. My dad has a good amount of money saved. Sends a lot of money back home. My dad has built an orphanage. I mean, my dad's done a lot of stuff. But his plan was, I'm going to work, and then I'm going to retire, and I'm going to get a pension. So he worked 41 years. 41 years. And he retired, and when he ended, he was making about $150,000 a year. And he retired with a $60,000 a year pension. Okay? So they give him $60,000 a year. He's been retired for about 13 years, I think, maybe 12. 12 years, he's making 60 grand. And when my dad goes, right, when he passes away, my mom will get half of that. Okay? And he had to do survivor annuity. For some of you guys, you understand what that is. If you don't worry about it. But that's the problem with the pension is he gets $5,000 a month or $60,000 a year, but when he dies, my mom only gets $30,000. And then if my mom, or when she dies, the money's gone. Okay, so that's how pensions work, and that's kind of the problem with pensions, because what if my dad doesn't need that $60,000? What if he wants $100,000? And usually pensions, whatever you get, it's a multiplier. It's 5% of what you have in an account, right? So the government allocated about $1 million, actually $1.2 million in an account to pay my dad $60,000 a year, right? So, normally if it was in a normal account, my dad would take what he wants to take, and then when he dies, my mom would get it, and then when she dies, she could give it. She could give it to a charity, she could give it to the kids, she could give it to the grandkids, whatever it is. But that money's gone. That's why pensions are kind of gone. So I started thinking, and when I see these figures and I see these pay-per-view things, I start thinking about money. I don't know why I do, but I always think about money. And you guys know me, okay? I'm not allergic to money. I love money. I'm a money magnet, but I'm not greedy, okay? I'm not a greedy person. I don't steal from people to make money. I don't hurt people to make money. I never wanted to have a business where, if I saw my client, I'd be like, oh, shoot, there they are, and I have to kind of hide around. That's not me. But I love making money. I came from not having money, and I wasn't cashing welfare checks, and I wasn't, but I didn't have money. My credit was all jacked up. I had $12,000 of credit card debt. My dad kind of, he let me live there rent-free, but he did cut me off financially, and I didn't have money. Okay, now some of you guys may have it a little bit more rough than me, okay? I'm not saying I had it rough, but I came from Mike where not having any money, now I have money, I'd rather have money. Right? So I started thinking about the securities business. And I started thinking about the compensation. And you don't have to know every single thing about the compensation. But you got to have a good understanding of how our compensation works. Okay? Because when I go out there and I go to American funds and the people I'm sitting down with, remember, it's not like a Primerica meeting, right? You're not meeting guys and girls that are like me, that basically dropped out of college. Okay, now I did graduate, I did do a double major, but I cheated my way through it. I'm not proud about that, but I was a terrible student. Knucklehead, right? These are guys that, American Fund said where they recruit, they're like, yeah, we recruit at UCLA, USC, Wharton, Harvard, Yale, Princeton. That's where they recruit. What about you guys? Is Nova Annandale? What college you go to? Nova. Nova ain't a college. If there's no admission or acceptance, it ain't a college. Sorry to break it. Who goes to Nova? No one's gonna raise their hand. Still got it with pride, dude. And DCC. Actually, you're smarter than me, because why would you pay full price when you got pennies on the dollar, right? Is that right? Right? You went to U of M, and U of M is a great school, right? And my wife is a full scholarship student at Georgetown. She got waitlisted at U of M, and she ended up getting in, but she had already accepted. But that's how good U of M is, University of Michigan, right? But right, isn't it? Looking back, it's like, man, maybe I shouldn't have, right? My wife's older sister went to Nova for 2 years and then transferred into Georgetown, saving 50%. So, you know what I mean? So, whatever. I'm making fun of you, but then, thank God my dad paid for my college. It wasn't my waste. Thanks, Dad. So, they said the number one thing that American Funds is trying to do is 401ks. They're trying to capture 401k business. Okay. And the reason they do that is because 401ks are the most consistent, they're the most to grow, and that's because most people, right, they have a set it and forget it attitude, right? They forgot their password, they don't change it. Yeah. They put in $200 a month, they say 3%, 3%, oh yeah, and that's where you get that, when I ask the dollar commitment, that's where I get that percentage, right? That's why I got that percentage like that. Hey, how much you contribute to your 401k? 6%, right? If you would ask them, say they make 100 grand a year, how much you want to contribute to your 401k? 6%. Okay, that's 6,000 a year, 500 a month. No, I can't do that, right? But when it says 3%, 6%, it's like, oh, whatever, okay, I'll do it. That's not a lot. 6 is nothing, right? It's like, well, that's $500 a month if you multiply it out, right? See the psychology of, right? These 401ks are smart, right? That's why they do it like that. So we do something that's very similar, which is we're one of the only companies that does monthly investments. Most companies, they only do lump sum investing. So you can put in chunks of money. You can invest $50,000 at a time, and then the minimum investment you can send is 20 grand. We do $100 a month, $300 a month, $1,000 a month, $500 a month, $150 a month. Right? Like when I sat down with you, Orlando, you were my client first. What did you start doing a month? Huh? $100 a month, right? And I was looking at your account, you got a couple $1,000s in there, right? Right? From $100 a month. Right? Now, if I didn't sit down with you, I don't know. I know you like barbecue. That money would be gone. Redskins games, fishing, or barbecue, right? That's what we do. We love barbecue. Every time I call it, I just ate at this great barbecue place, and you got to try it out. And he's there in like 5 minutes. I'm in Florida. He's like, yeah, flew private, man. Had to try it. Right? But you got a couple $1,000s in there. From what? $100? Because you don't even feel it, right? You don't feel $100 a month. Just $100 a month. But we get paid. We get paid to do that. And you can get this license and work part-time. And let me explain how much money's actually involved. So there's a way that we get compensated 2 ways. Okay? The first way is initial investment, which means anytime a client sends in $100, now I prefer to do it ACH. EFT, right? Electronic funds transfer. Just comes out of your money, just like a 401k. Just comes right out of your money. Boom, 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 boom. On the 1st, on the 15th, comes out right away. and you're going to receive about 2%. Okay? Depending on your level, could be 3%, but it's going to be 2 to 3%. So, Raylan, I get Dion to invest $200 a month, I'm going to get $4 every single month. Okay? Everybody understand that? That's new money. Now, say Dion calls me, and it's like, hey, I just left my job, I have $20,000, I roll it over, that's $400. Okay? That's still an initial investment. Okay? You understand? So anytime somebody sends money into the company, which I prefer automatically, right? Like I don't tell, because think about lump sum investing. So Charmaine, I sit down with you, I say, hey, I want you to invest $5,000 every year, so on the 15th of the year, before taxes, you know, tax time's over, I'm going to call you, I want you to put in $5,000. Hey, I don't like writing a check for $5,000. I don't know about you guys. I don't like doing that. I'm like, ooh. You know, it's like the money, like part of my body's leaving. 5,000. Right? Even though I'm an investor, it's like 5,000, man, that's a lot of money. There's a lot of Jordans. You know, what are the lines of the game tonight? You know, I can make this 10,000. You know, I don't want to give this away. Right? I mean, this is the things that start going through my head. I don't want to write a check for 5,000. So if I say, hey, invest $400 and whatever it is, $30 a month, $16 a month, every month, and now what I'm doing, I'm even smarter now. I'm getting better, right? Rodney knows what I do. I get my clients weekly investing money. I don't even do it monthly anymore. I'm like, hey, look, how often you get paid? Oh, every 2 weeks? Okay, money's going to come out every 2 weeks. That's what I do. And I set up one fund on every 2 weeks and the other. Every time they get money, money's coming out. Because even a monthly one, they're like, oh man, something happens and immediately they don't want to invest money. And that's not good for them. What am I going to do with the $3? I want a long-term client. I want somebody to have $1 million later. I want them to have money so they can tell other people, hey, I sat down with this guy and now I have $10,000 saved up. So you get 2 to 3%. Okay, everybody follow me? Yeah. But then there's this other thing called assets under management. Assets under management. So every quarter, okay, they assess your total accounts. And they add them up. And for every $1 million that you have, okay, now I'm going to just talk about the RVP level, okay? But everybody has assets under management, right? It's about $1,500 a year. It's a little less, okay? But call it $1,500 for math reasons. $1,500 a year, okay? So we'll call it, it's not this number, but we'll call it $400 a month. I mean, $400 a quarter. So say Kelvin becomes, he puts $1 million into an account. He says, hey man, you know, I'm going to put $1 million. He writes a check. I get paid on that $1 million. And then every year that money is $1 million, they're going to pay me about $1,500 a year, right? Now what? That money, we invested it. You understand? So what does that mean? It's going to grow. So if it goes to $2 million, now I get $3,000. So think about that. Think about how we get paid. We get paid initially, and then we get paid if the money is there long term and it grows. So I want the same. Like if I go and I put Kelvin in an account and it's too volatile for him and it goes up and down too much, market fluctuation, he's going to take his money out. Then I lost my money. So I want the same things the client does. I want them to keep their money with me long term, and I want it to grow. Everybody follow? So I was just, you know, Dante and I were kind of playing around with some numbers. Okay? Because on average, okay, your funds should grow at 10%. Your book of business should grow at 10%. Could be more. Could be even more. Like over the last 5 years, my funds have been doing 18, 19, 20%. My book of business as a whole. And I have some clients that are conservative, some that are aggressive. Some of the funds have done 25% year to date. Now that's, what did I say, 10%, 12%, right? So do we have what do we have, Elmo or?
Yeah.
Or wait, no, hold on. What do we need?
I was just going to tell them what the website, like Financial Cash.
Okay. Yeah. So we're going to pull up a financial cash. I just want you to see what you have. My dad gave his life to a company for 41 years. He retired with $60,000 a year. Life. Literally. I love my daddy. You know, you look at some people in Primerica that are my dad's age. My dad's, you know, I was a bad kid, so I probably put some years on my dad's life, right? But my dad worked. I mean, you can tell he worked a job for 41 years. That's all, right? You can tell he was commuted for 41 years. That's just it. I mean, you know, and you know, my dad, you know, I mean, just I know other people that are at his age, and you know, my dad swims, he works out, he does a lot of things. You know, I see he has a heart condition. But I see people like Bruce, and obviously Bruce is a lot younger, but even people in Primerica, they don't look like my dad. You know, my mom ran a home daycare, so we always had, you know, me and my two sisters, and then 5, 6 other kids. Right? I come from a brick-laying family. Right? My parents are hard workers. That's what they instilled in us. Right? So you're going to do the work anyway. You're going to put the time in anyway. You're going to take that abuse anyway. So just so you can see kind of the way the securities works. I can just do it if you want. Or if you want to pull it up. So I looked at some numbers, okay? This is if you did a 20-year period, 20 years, and you did $1 million a year, okay? That's $80,000 a month. Okay? $1 million a year. That's $80,000 a month. Now, you could get a client that has 600 grand. You could get a client that has $1 million. You could get a client that has $50,000. But if you did $80,000 a month, which is not unheard of, okay? Ever since I've gotten licensed, I've done $1 million personal a year, and now I do $2 to $3 million a year. Okay? And my team does $5 to $6 million. I'm talking, Omar, just you. Just you. Just you. You telling people about IRAs and 529s and investments and CDs suck and bank accounts suck. And hey, do you have an old 401k that you haven't rolled over yet and rolling over money? They already invested it. You just have to fill out paperwork. Right? You just did a rollover, right? Your first 1 or 2, right? It was like 100 grand, right? So if you did, say you start out with 100,000, that's your client's assets, and now you do $1 million. Now it says monthly, right? But say we do it to year. 12%, and for 20 years, you'd have 73 million assets under management. Okay? And you also got paid on that million for 20 years. That'd be $240,000 that you would have made. Okay? So, I mean, you know. You know, because there's that running joke that Mayweather's illiterate, and McGregor was making fun of him. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing that? You can't read it." He's like, "You're right, I can't read." He goes, "I do numbers." Right? I do numbers. I do numbers. Right? 73 times 1,500. I can't read, but I do numbers. 110,000. 20 years. 110,000 a year. This is your residual income. This is your pen. My dad worked 41 years for a $60,000. Most of us in here, if you're working, it's fine if you're working. Don't throw your brain out the window. But you're not going to get a pension. The company's not going to say, "Hey, we're going to send you money for the rest of your life." This is This goes forever. This is going to go to my kids. That's why you're here. See, of course I knew I'd be here. Just like McGregor, if I didn't... Yes, I knew I'd be right here. I knew I would have these many RVPs. Now, honestly, I'll be honest, Omar, it's bigger than I thought. Because I exaggerated it pretty bad when I sit down with friends. I use the words exaggerated. My parents would say lied. Dante, we're going to be the biggest thing in Virginia. We're going to have offices all over. I'm going to have so many freaking agents. And as much as I embellished, exaggerated, call it lying, it's bigger than I thought. It's bigger than I thought. And I'm just getting started. So some of us, yeah, right, like me, we're young. Right? We're young, Dante. Right? Honestly, confirmation. Some of you guys got more than that, right? Let's just do 30 years. Because that's the thing about compound interest. It's back end heavy, right? Hold on, I don't read. Numbers. 244. And remember, you're getting paid 20 grand a year to do this. Just to do paperwork and set up accounts. 20 grand. That's $366,000. And I'll be honest, this is mutual fund compensation in Detroit. This is the lowest comp. These guys in American funds, they're making 1%. They're making 1%. So like that person and the partner are splitting $2 or $3 million a year. This is mutual fund comp, guys. This is not managed accounts. It's not stock accounts. It's not Series 7. This is you give it to American funds, they send the quarterly statements, you don't even really have to do anything. Send them a couple thank you cards and go see your clients once a year. We'll just do it for fun, Dante. Let's do like my dad, do 40 years. Right? But some of you guys are young. You might have 40 years. 776. That's $1 million a year. 1.1 a year. That's Bobby Buisson. That's him. That's him. Hey, I make 110 grand a year right now off securities every year. If I didn't wake up, 110. Oh. I mean, look, I get it. I promise you, I get it. Go, work your jobs, do what you got to do, make your money, save your money, pay your bills, keep the lights on, you know, keep gas in the tank, pay your taxes, do all those things, but realize what you're doing, right? You know, McGregor was still in line collecting the checks, man, but he was working on himself. He had a vision, right? And, you know, and Mayweather, too. You know, whether you like Mayweather or not, I mean, I know where he grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, man. He came very poor. Very poor. And he was fighting amateurs forever. You know, he got out of a boxing contract with Top Rank. He had to pay $900,000 to get out of it. That's why he made that money. Who would write a check, 900 grand, to get out of the contract? And he bet on himself. And now he makes $100 million a fight guaranteed. But he had a vision too, right? See, like my wheels start spinning. We can go RVP. You can go RVP. You can build a little base shop, right? You can win for your family. If these guys can do it, you can do it. So, anyways, that got me excited. All right, let's get started. Can you get your license? Yeah. Huh? Oh yeah. Huh? Can you guys read? I do numbers. All right. Pull up the presentations. So before I forget, month end is next Friday. Okay, so we will not have a Friday meeting. We'll not have a Thursday night op night this week. We're going to be closing out the month strong, and I want to talk about that before I get into the training. About month end. Okay. Belinda, how important is month end?
Very.
Belinda. Huh? How important? How important? It's the most important thing. Okay? Why is it so important? Calvin, why do you think? Think about it. Okay? So he said you have teammates fighting for stuff, fighting for promotions, fighting for different things, right? Okay. That's true. Anybody play sports? How important is that fourth quarter? Right? Huh? That's exactly right. Right? Month end is a direct reflection of how life is for you. Hear what I just said. Month end is a direct reflection of how life is for you. Okay? Here's why. Let me give you my personal experience. Okay? New job, new goal, new diet, new plan to make money, new sport, new team. Okay? Enthusiasm is at an all-time high. You feel great. This is what you have been waiting for. This is the answer to your prayers and dreams. This is it. This is, and if you're like me, you're just burning inside. This is going to change my life. I'm going to be the go-to person. This is how I'm going to be the man. I'm going to make the team. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a star. Whatever it is that you have, your goal. Excitement is the highest. Motivation is the highest. Your determination is the highest. And in the beginning, it's kind of easy to come off to somewhat of a fast start. Right? You get a new book. First 10 pages, whoa, oh my gosh. First 10 are great. This book is going to change my life. Then what happens to all of us? You hit a wall. You hit a wall. It gets a little harder. You don't have the discipline. You don't have the endurance. Then what starts creeping in? Doubt, negative self-talk, negative friends. They just appear. And you're at your lowest. They come to you. It ain't worth it. You want to be like me, right? I'm not trying to be funny about this. I'm saying this because I know what happens. And they what? They prey on the weak, right? Predators, they seek out the ones, right? They're limping a little bit. They're out of gas a little bit. Right? Our coach used to always say that, right? I don't know. Always keep your hands up. He goes, don't keep your hands up. He goes, good offensive players, Kelvin, they know if your hands are down, you're a little tired. When your hands are up, it's true. It's like, oh, they're active, right? It's true. It's like he goes, even if you forget, it's not even about hands up, you can block the passes. He goes, you want to let the offense know we're flying around out here. We got energy, yo. We're gonna go like this 48 minutes. We're going like this all game. They can tell when you're tired. It's less fun. It's more difficult. The goals aren't as important. You have to condition yourself. You got to condition yourself. Man. You have to create positive habits. Here was the story of my life. Quitting. I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to say it like nicely. Quitting. Coasting. Staying comfortable. That was me. I'll just quit. I'll just quit. It was nothing. It was no big deal. I'll just quit. Now I'll just coast. I'm just going to do what I do and just get a seat. I didn't understand these things called best effort. Finishing. Pushing through. Staying committed. That's what month end is. We have 6 days to the month. Okay? We're going to go over the stuff. We're going to go through the presentation. We'll go through it really quick like we always do. Because how fundamental is the presentation, right? It's everything, right? I mean, you were telling me this morning, right? You can't do it enough until you can do it. But do you want, and I'm not trying to be funny, I'm not trying to talk at people. You saw where I'm coming from and said, this is me. You want to be a quitter? Like, does that make you feel good? It made me feel terrible. I tell people all the time, I couldn't even look myself in the mirror. I look at the mirror and I look down. Like, that's how bad I felt. And it's not about winning and losing. It's just about not freaking giving up and giving your best effort. That's what month end is. Now, obviously, there's Hawaii. There's promotions. There's money. There's a country club dinner with Christian David. I don't know how much that could be worth for you. I don't know. You guys hang out at the country club all the time? I don't. I know Alex, you used to work there. Right? I don't know. I mean, how much, having dinner or, dinner at a country club with somebody and being around the other winners and eating nice food, I don't know what that does for you. I don't know what that does for your partner. I don't know if that gives you another 6 months of hard work. But I know one thing. You quit now and you quit in the last 6, 7 days, this is just the story of your life. It's just what happens, right? So promotions, internal consumption, out-of-state business, Hawaii, incentives, recognition, right? And we're going to talk about, obviously, after the break about finishing out the month, but I just want to get you in the right mind. All right, let's get into the presentation. Get out your notebooks, take notes. We're going to have a bunch of stuff, a bunch of quizzes. You guys got to go out there and get ready to do this on your own, right? Why? August is ending, and then our biggest months are September, October, and November. Amateurs, they get bored. Right? How many times do you think Mayweather and McGregor have trained? Right? Hour-long sessions, just jabbing, speed back, jump ropes. Right? And those things actually, you get tired and you don't want to do them and they get boring. Okay? Just punch. You punch, your hands start hurting and you hit a bag. Right? You got to wrap your wrist. You got to do this. You got to do that. Right? I mean, right? I mean, you fight, right? I mean, it's not like training is not fun. It looks cool, like on the Nike commercials, but after a while, like you get tired, your feet hurt, your hands hurt. You know what I mean? You get fatigued. You can't sleep. It sucks. They train hours and hours, dehydration, and then also they're fighting, so that you actually have to fight too, right? Like once in a while, you'll spar with somebody and you get hit in the head. I don't know if I don't like getting punched, right? I mean, my daughter's head will like nick me and I'll hit her, Strength of that neck, man. Don't be headbutting me like that, I don't like getting hit. Anything, I'm like start crying. I'm such a freaking wood. These guys getting punched, kicked, wrestled, right? I mean, it looks cool. We all say we want to make $100 million, but then everyone wants to be an RVP or an NSC, then you can't do the presentation. You literally can't do it. You don't know it. Because you're too busy on Facebook and YouTube. Right? Sure. Right? I think that's all it said here. All right. What do we do first? Don Juan. Always build. Whoa. Don't yell out. I'm asking people, okay? But I want to make sure you guys, not to call you out. I want, this is not school, right? It's not a piece of paper. You get good, you can go out on your own, you can train people, you get the confidence in your trainer, you don't have to hold your trainer's hand. You understand schematically how it works. When you're in the field, you're going to be fine, okay? You've gone on appointments, right? You've been going out on your own, right? So in the beginning, what do we always build? Man, stop.
You want to have a good relationship.
Yeah, whatever. I told you, don't lick your lips and look at me. I know know it works. That's the freaking problem. I'm making fun of you, but like I'm also admiring you. You gotta see this, man. He's perfected. Always build rapport. Okay? What's the rule about chit-chatting though?
Talk too much.
Don't talk too much. Why? Because they're going to talk. And if they talk a lot, you better really quick, right? Build relationships by asking people about their favorite subjects, themselves, how they met, right? And most important question, Bosh, is what? Well, here on this slide.
By the way, has anyone ever done any financial work for you?
By the way, has anyone ever done any financial work for you before? Okay. Why do we do that?
Just to see, like, if they know anything about it.
Speak up.
Just to see, like, if they have someone who does stuff for them, or and how their relationship is maybe with that person.
What else? You're right. What else does it do?
Kind of sets the tone a little bit. That way.
How?
It's like, hey, has anyone ever done it for you? And they're like, oh no. And then they're kind of thinking, oh, maybe I need someone to do it for me.
Perfect. Absolutely. Right? They're a little bit, so I sit down with Belinda, I'm helping Josh out on an appointment, I take Josh, they know each other, right? And I take Josh, and she's agreed to help Josh. Oh, you know, and in the beginning, you feel like you're bothering the person. You feel like you're asking them for a favor. And if you're like me, we don't like to ask for things, right? So then I start talking to her. I'm a little bit friendly, and then kind of before I get into it, hey, by the way, Belinda, has anyone done any financial work for you? And then what does she say? 99, 95, a large majority, depending on the market, okay? But overall, if I look at all my appointments, I'd say 90% no. No one's done anything. And it's a little bit shameful almost. They feel bad. Then they're also open. Like Bob said, they could say, hey, I need help. I go, okay, I'm curious now. And you flip the script, right? You're turning the tables a little bit. Not a lot. You're not going to say anything much after that. Then you're going to say what? You're going to say one more thing. It's very important, but you're not going to like drill home on it. Go ahead, Bosh. Finish it up. So I say no.
Okay, great.
So he says, by the way, has anyone done any financial work for you? I say no.
No, I just feel like maybe this could be useful for you and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I said. Maybe this could be useful. Is that what I said? What do I say?
Usually that's because families didn't think they needed it, they didn't think they could afford it, or they just never got around to it.
Okay. So that's what he says. That's what I say. How do you say it? It's very important. Okay? Look, a lot of the stuff, it doesn't matter what you say or how you say it. Some of the things, it's very important what you say and how you say it. You understand? Like there's certain things like, this is one of those. Okay? You just got to understand what I'm saying and why I'm saying it. So I'm sitting down at the kitchen table, right? Take somebody out there. By the way, Kelvin, has anyone done any financial work for you? No. Okay. Usually when a family has never had any financial work done, it's usually due to one of the following reasons. One, they didn't think they needed it. We don't need it. Two, they didn't think they could afford it. We've heard it's expensive. Or three, they just never got around to it. Kind of classic case of procrastination. Never got around to it. Which one of those describes it? Okay. So, yes.
So, when you answer the question, like, because I've heard you say it 100 times, right? And I'm just replaying some of the stuff I do in my head, and I don't answer the question right after I say it. Why are you answering it like that?
Okay, that's a really good point. And I went over this a couple of weeks ago. So, like I said, everything that I do, for the most part, I'd say 90%, Donald, it's in the field tested, right? So, of the 3 answers, we only want 2. We don't want the first one, okay? We don't want, I didn't think I needed it, okay? Because think about what has happened. I'm going in there, I've already kind of probably, Belinda knows I'm going to do some financial planning. I'm a financial guy. And I say, hey, has anyone done any financial work? And they say, you got it? Sorry. I'm a financial guy. And I said, do you need financial work? And like, we don't need it. Immediately, we're fighting. It's a fight. Now, I got a pretty good poker face, but it's just not the right tone for him or for them and me. I don't need it. And it's like, you dumb mother, right? You're like, what? Right? I don't want that answer, and I get it all the time. And then you're just kind of like butting heads all the time. It becomes a little tense. You think that this person's really stupid, and you're not giving them your full attention and heart and asking the right questions. And so what I started doing, Kelvin, is I answer it because I say they didn't think they needed it, and then I kind of give them a demonstrative, arrogant, we don't need it. So you got to really think you don't need it to say it. And also, they still might do it. But it's going to eliminate a lot of that. We don't need it. And I say it like that. We don't need it. Okay?
Have you ever had someone who, like, in response said, yeah, I don't think we need it? Like, how would you, like, kind of follow up that?
Yeah, I mean, it can go 2 ways, okay? The way it mostly goes is what? You try to show them that they're a fool kind of financially, right? You have this, you have this, you have this. But that never ends up in a client. Now, I can save face, and my trainee doesn't see me lay down, and me and the trainee leave, and the trainee's like, wow, you really punked this guy. Yeah. And I guess I feel good for a little bit, but then I didn't get a client. I didn't get a recruit. I'm not closer to our 3x6. So if they say that, which it happens, usually it's not going to be a client. Yeah, but there are some times where you can kind of win them over. It depends on how they say it. Look, it's very normal for people to be like, show me what you got. That's a normal attitude. I don't want them to be a jerk about it, but I also want to know, like I was at Friday Prayer 2 weeks ago, right? And I mean, it was so healthy. This is the one. This is the big event that could have changed your life. Okay? But you know what they said? They said the biggest disease in human beings is arrogance. The biggest disease in human beings is arrogance. Hey, you guys got more questions? You can come with me this Friday. Right on, Mark? It's very important. Does anybody, you guys know the thing called salvation? Have you heard of this thing? No, but and they really broke it down. They talked about just how people that are stubborn, pride. It's all a root of just being arrogant. So that's normal. It's normal for people to be overconfident. It's normal for them to be, what do you got? Young buck, what are you going to teach me? I've lived here this long. You don't know what I've been through. All wrong. All the disease of arrogance. All of it. But we have to what? We got to be that fisherman and meet them where they are and kind of, we can't let our because I have that disease too. Oh, well, you don't know who I am. You're lucky I'm here. Right? I got better things to do with my time. That's wrong. I can't be like, so now I'm going to lead them through questions. I'm going to understand this is how people are. But there's still a lot of, Ben Shepard gave a great training one time. Right? He said, there are people that are going to buy no matter what. Okay? There are people that are going to say no, no matter what. And then there are the people in between. We can't fix the ones that are going to say no, no matter what. It doesn't matter. We can do nothing. The ones that are going to buy no matter what, okay, great, we love those, right? You're not good because they're going to buy no matter what. But it's the ones in between, we can learn how to lead them and hear them and, listen to them and, kind of get them to, close them. It all depends. And in the beginning, okay, and this is why I told Jones, because he left me a voucher after this appointment that I don't think you're talking about, right? And I told Tara the same thing. in the beginning, really for your first probably 2 years, how should you handle a brick? Okay, so you get somebody and they're just kind of giving you a hard time. How should you handle it in the first 2 years?
Personally, I think I use it as practice.
Absolutely. You wrestle with them, not in a rude way, but you just see what works. And practice having the dialogue. Practice just, kind of stumping them or saying something or getting them to, kind of feel like, oh, okay, but they're still not going to do it. But practice, engage in the dialogue. I used to tell people, because I built my business on the phone. I called a lot of people, right? And that's the first thing I would tell Dante, right? Dante was probably the first guy I ever trained. I said, Dante, just keep people on the phone, right? I said, look, just stay on there. It wasn't a problem for Dante, because until he got married, just like that. Right? But Dante would just get on there, be very good, and just stay on the phone, and then you just learn dialogue and pressing hot buttons and, answering objections and cooling them off and getting them excited and all that stuff. It's just dialogue. All right. Any other? Jessica, you had a question? Okay. All right. So, then we do the 3 outcomes. Why do we do the 3 outcomes? Builds expectations and it puts them at ease. Okay, hey, 3 things are going to happen. 1, you're excited, and you might think of other people. Why is that first? Because that opens them up, right? I like that we say, hey, you're going to get excited, Omar, and start thinking of other people. Oh, okay, right? Then we're going to say, hey, you see value, you may want to become a client yourself. Look, we're going to say it, we're going to bring it out. And if we can earn your business. And then partnerships, we talk about recruiting, right? Let them know we are looking for people. Drop the seed. Financial crisis, what are we doing? Disturb. Who said that? Raise your hand. Good. Disturb. Great, right? You got to get a little excited when we start talking about financial statistics. You got to find some things that you get excited about, that you're passionate about. I just read through these very quickly. And here are how the financial companies have responded. I'm creating an enemy. We don't like financial companies. We don't like banks. We hate insurance companies. Tell a little history of our company, who our founder was. We're created, right? His mom was ripped off. When his dad died, he was the eldest of 4 kids. He saw his mom struggle, worked a couple jobs, and realized that an insurance company did the wrong thing. Just read these. This change?
Yeah.
Went from 683 to 746.
No.
Huh? Okay, so obviously the presentation's updated. We have a few different statistics. 56 billion from 48 billion, and 120,000 licensed representatives. Huh? Yeah, we're not at 130 yet. One would have said that. Maybe at the end of the month. New York Stock Exchange, most trustworthy financial companies, top 10 companies to work for. People don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. I bring out the financial needs analysis, but then I go through the pages. What do we say here? Huh? Establish financial priorities. Perfect. Right. Did you know that, or you just read it? You don't gotta be good to do this business, right? Establish your financial priorities. We can take a look at the financial position, where you are right now. Financial, talk about retirement. What do we say here? What's the question?
What does financial
What does financial independence mean to you? Okay? This is where we're going to get them talking a little bit. What does financial independence mean to you? You're gonna get a lot of stuff. I hate my job. Be comfortable. Pay my bills. Pay off my debt. Retire. I want to move to North Carolina one day. Yeah. I want to stop living out of my car. I want to take a shower. I can go on. Hey, anybody watch, I forgot to tell you, I'm just thinking about this story. Did I tell you the story about Tiffany Haddish and Kevin Hart? Who did I tell this story to? I think I told it to Samir. Did you see it? Huh? On Stephen Colbert? You saw it? Okay. So, sorry, I got to just digress real quick. Very powerful story. I don't know, it was very quick. YouTube it, okay? This is something you can actually YouTube. Okay? So, if anybody's seen the movie Girls Trip, I know a bunch of us in the office went. It's a hilarious movie, right? And the star of the movie is like, who stole the show, is this new and upcomer. I've never seen her. Her name is Tiffany Haddish. Okay? And she's just hilarious in the movie. I mean, she's just crazy, rambunctious, inappropriate, all the stuff that, you know, it's comedy. It's great. Okay? So she was on Stephen Colbert the other night. And she was talking about her rise to fame. And he was asking and interviewing her. And, you know, like many artists and comedians and actors and any business person, it's not always a train ride up. You know, it's not always a, you know, hot balloon, you know, it just goes right to the top. A lot of up and down. So she was living out of her car. She was living out of her car. That's it. And I was just thinking because I was making fun of Brady. But, you know, he doesn't live out of it. Do you? Don't tell me, okay? But she was living out of her car. And she was at a show, I think the Laugh Factory or something like that, and Kevin Hart wasn't huge then, but he's still big, right? And she saw Kevin Hart, and he kind of pulled up, and she's like getting ready, and he's like, "You got a lot of stuff in your car. Are you living out of your car?" And she just was embarrassed, you know. She said, "Well, you know, I'm in between." You know, he's like, "What's going on? Why are you living out of your car?" And you know, they had talked for a little bit, and then he goes, and he gave her $300 and said, "Hey, go get a hotel for the night." Okay? And then he gave her some advice. Listen to this. And he goes, "Write down all your goals." And so she said, "I went to my room, I took a shower, I cleaned up, and that night I wrote down all my goals." And she's like, that I would be starring in a movie, that I would sell out shows, that I would be on talk shows like this. And she was joking with Stephen. She was like, "You'd be looking at me all googly-eyed trying to get into my junk." You know? That's how she is. She's just funny like that. Think about that, though. Think about Kevin Hart. Giving somebody a couple $100, say, "Hey, get yourself a room for the night," and then, and then she's on the show saying, "This is what happened. I went home, I took a shower that night, I started writing down all my goals." He goes, "Write down all your goals for your life." And I don't know if you know this, but I just know this because of Success Magazine. Kevin Hart has a new book. Right? I haven't got it yet. Rodney, you know, because I got a bunch of books I still got to read. But Kevin Hart is a self-improvement guy. Like, you know, he'll say something, he'll be like, "Yeah, I'm just not a negative person. Like, I'm just not." You know, they were saying, like, "What about your relationship with your dad?" He's like, yeah, I can hold a lot of grudges, but I just choose not to focus on that. I'm going to only focus on this, and this is why I am where I mean, he's a self-improvement nut. You think it's funny that, you know, like, you think it's coincidence? These people that read books, audios, that's what he says? Write down your goals. That's what he told her? Like, that was his tip of advice? That's what she's on the show saying? Yeah, he talked to me about goals. Kevin Hart. Like, I think he's probably the #1 comedian right now for the last 4 or 5 years. Maybe more. So, anyways. What does financial independence mean to you? Go through the rule of 72. I ask them, I make this very interactive, what would 20,000 be? Let them guess. And I go through it. If you want to achieve financial independence, how important is to know something like this? How much, do you know how much money you need to get? I love asking them. Sometimes I click too fast, but if I don't, because then they'll say 50,000, 10,000, 5,000. I say, wow, that's a lot, right? 250,000, like, whoa, right? What are they doing? They're creating value for what you're showing them. They just said to you, this information is worth $10,000. This information is worth $40,000. I don't have this kind of money, but you just shared this valuable information. That's what they're saying. We help people get the Rule 72 working for them regardless of how much money they have. How many people need to know about this? Power of compound interest, $200 a month, savings for 35 years, age 30 to 65. Why do we do this? Speak up.
To see if the $200 is a lot.
Okay, right. So one is $200 a month, a lot of money, right? That's great, right? So at least says $200 a month, a lot of money. Let's hear what they say, right? Yeah, it's a lot. You know? No, it's not. No. You know? And then what do we say? Remember? You know? Would you be able to invest $200 a month? Can I have $200? Get a hotel room. Got it. Okay, good guess. Robert.
So you ask the question to see how much money they actually have, how much money they waste.
Okay, so how do we do it? You're right. We want to find out then how much they waste. How do we do it, Robert?
So you say, how often would you say you spend money on convenience shops? Things like Starbucks, 7-Eleven, candy, whatever you like to.
Yeah.
Say like $5. Okay. You take multiply that times 30. Times 30. Right, and that's $150.
Okay. So you're right. That's what we do. What's the exact words that I use? You know what? I'll give you one more shot.
Okay. So you say, okay, let me start over. I'm doing it general.
Yeah, you got it.
So you say, $7 a month. They say,
Nah.
no. Okay. So let me ask you, on a daily basis, every day, how much money would you say you spend at a Starbucks, convenience shop?
Okay, you're right there. You're 90%. Okay, and that's really good. And that probably is good enough. Okay. But
if I were to hook you up to a lie detector.
Right. Or I say that. Okay. That's what I said. I just want you. I want you to know the exact word. I said, look, is $200 a month a lot of money? Right. Tom Hopkins says what? You're an actor. You got to memorize your lines. Right. Is $200 a month a lot of money? All right, say I hooked you up to a lie detector, Robert. How much money do you waste? I don't say spend, because spend is not the same. I want them to give me a number that they're doing absolutely nothing productive with this money. That if they can't take money that they are wasting and put that away for their kids, right? I mean, money that they are wasting. How much money, Robert, do you waste every day? Now, some days it might be 0, some days it might be 20, if we average it out. And what I mean by that, Robert, is convenience shopping. It's eating out 5-6 days a week. I don't know. I mean, I think 50% of people that work, they eat out 5 days a week. I think that, like for lunch, they just, like, that's their break, and they spend like 20% of their checks for the day. For the day. They make $100 a day, they spend $20. I mean, I'm serious. This concept of maybe packing or leftovers, it's not there. So we just got to take a couple of those, man, and we can get a $100 check.
I was going to say that also builds confidence in the person doing the interview. So if I'm doing it, I know I've got something I can go after.
Right.
It gives me the sense of like, even if they told me at the end, oh, this and that just happened, in the back, even if I don't bring it up, like I mean, I'd say, well, you just said, I know that deep down they do have it, and so I'll keep pushing. Whereas before, that would kind of be like, I feel kind of compassionate for.
Right.
And this instead gives me sort of a
That's
little more
exactly
motivation.
right. If you feel, we all have hearts, most of us, okay? All of us except Matt Peterson. We have hearts. Am I joking or not? Right? We all have hearts. So if we know they don't have any money, we're going to back off of it. We're not going to be as hard on them. Which is the wrong thing to do, because our number one job is protect dependents. Always remember that, right? Not to help them with their budget. They need insurance, okay? Right? They need it. So this is where we need to take a page out of Matt's book, okay? And just no excuses, right? They need that. We need that check, right? So, how much money you waste every day? You know, eating out instead of packing, Starbucks. And I do like this, Starbucks instead of Dunkin' Donuts or 7-Eleven. You know, like Starbucks at $5, Dunkin' Donuts is $1. You still should probably bring it in a little, you know, thermostat. But that's, I know that's un-American now. You pack your stuff, you just have to spend, right? What's it called? Thermos. Don't notice. Yeah, you're right. I'm literally in a thermostat right now. I feel like I'm in a 12-round box. All right, go through this real quick. We log the information. Yes?
Really quick, you know the slide before this? Every single time, you always 12%, you say every number at 12%. Why do you say that?
Yeah. I think it builds up. You're right, I do that. I go, when it comes up, right, that's true, I go 20, and then I'll go, this is how I do the Rule 72. Okay. Say, Peter, Tia, where do most people put their money?
Saving, yeah.
Okay, right. What does the bank do?
Just keep it.
Peter, Tia. Role play.
They just keep it.
Huh? They keep, right? They reinvest it, they get more, they earn more money, right? So, what do banks give you?
Less than 1%.
Less than 1%, right? Really low number, right? So, if you invested $20,000 and you got 2%, how much would it be at 36?
Maybe 30,000.
30,000. 40,000, very close, right? Now, if you had 20,000, you invested at 6%, what would it be?
Maybe 80,000.
Okay. So this is a really good exercise too, what I'm doing right now, because what I get a lot for some reason, especially some people, what do we get when we do this? They literally start getting frustrated.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know! Teacher Matthew yell at you a lot? Like, I don't know, Dad! I'm like, whoa! You do your homework. Like, it's a lot of trouble in there, man. Like, they get, right? So you gotta walk them, right? Some people, like, when they hate, there is just so much emotional baggage in these questions. Like, so now I'm like, okay, question too much, right? I'll have to walk, right? Remember, do we have that? I just don't know it. I'm like, okay, just guess, man. Damn. Come on. I'm not joking. It happens 50% of the time.
Did my person tell you? I don't remember them formulas from school or something.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just they get so mad. I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm trying to teach you. So you got to walk them through, and if you can tell they're not being super cooperative, which, like I just said, is 50% of the time. Don't no, I need a number. You don't. This is not where you stand your ground. Okay? You say, well, I just go through it. I'll kind of go through a little bit, 20, 40, 40. Now, some people, they want to guess, and you want the guy that guesses and is way off, right? You don't want to make the person that is really intimidated by numbers and money and just wants nothing to do with it to feel worse. That's not what we want. Okay. So 40, 80, 160, and I go 12. Take a guess what would be at 12%. 140, 80, 160, 320, 640, 1.2 million. Right? You know, part of this is what? Okay, when you're dealing with clients, there's two types of clients. Okay? There's two types of clients. Okay? One is a client that's defeated. They're defeated. And you have to get them on the defibrillator and zap some life into them that they can do something. If you ever read the How Money Works book, one of the first chapters is you can do it. Why do you think that's in there? Because most people believe they are just destined to be broken financially. And that's a big thing. I'm going to be in debt forever. I'm never going to have money. I'm worthless. Even if I got money, I'm going to make bad financial decisions because that's their track record. Right? So then there's the client that's just kind of needs to figure it out, and if they get a couple pieces of information, they're excited, they're enthused. That's what we're trying to discover, right? So a lot of times, Kelvin, if I see that they're really, like, Marilyn, you know this, if they're intimidated by this, a lot of times they have this defeatism in their mentality, and they just don't think they can do anything financially. They just don't, right? So we got to see that. And then I say, hey, I'm really excited. I got really excited today when I saw this because I never thought I could save $1.2 million. I thought I could save 20. And I just want to see, like, if I can see if their mind is racing or their eyes get a little bit excited, if they're kind of like, okay, I just want to see if I get any positive signals from them. Okay, eliminate debt. The script's on there. And then what is protecting financial independence? What's the worst thing that happens to a family financially? What do we do here? What? Now what we say, but what was the adjustment in here? The question that I had.
If something were to happen to you, would you want to leave your family a little better off, the same or worse?
Better off.
Better off, okay. And if something happened to you tomorrow, would they be better off?
No. Okay. So everybody saw what Mike did? Good job, Mike. So, right, on this question, I used to just say, if you died tomorrow, would you want to leave your family a little better off, the same or worse? They always say better off. I've never had somebody say worse. Okay? Sometimes they might say the same, but I think 99% they say a little better off. Okay, it's a very nice, easy, light question. It says, little better off, right? So yeah, a little better off. Like, why would I never? I mean, you're really not a good person if you don't say this. I'm serious. Now, sorry if that was some of your parents or you. But, right, little better off, the same or worse, they usually say a little better off. Okay? I say, now, Mike, if you did die tomorrow, if you did something happen to you tomorrow, would they be better off? Would they be a little better off? He says, no, right? And that question right there, it's kind of like a real moment. They realize that, we got to do something. And we're going to eventually say, what? We're going to do something today, right? We're going to get you to apply today. We're going to try to get you coverage today. We're going to look at your policy today, right? That's why that question is really important. And then go through this really quick. Right?
Question?
Yes.
Nick, do you know what is your transition?
No, I just leave it. Yeah, just leave it. Yeah. Because then, to me, they get it. Right? To me, they understand. Like, no, Because I'm still going to ask them about coverage later. And if, like, say, for example, that's a good question. She said, if they say they're not a little better off, what's your transition? I don't say anything. Okay? But if they got funny at the financial house and the insurance and they didn't want to go forward, then I would bring that back up. I said, well, Tara, listen, I know you had said if something happened to you, you want your family a little better off, but if something did happen, they're not better off. Let's talk more about that. Let's explore that. And then he said that if I don't get some of this information, I can't help you fix that issue. Right? So think about the theory, okay? There's only a few things you need to know, okay? Why do people need insurance when they're young? They need the highest because their liabilities are the highest and they have no money, okay? That's why you need insurance when you're young. No money. If you have a lot of money, you don't need insurance. Later on, you don't need insurance. You're self-insured. Insurance policy is only good temporarily. Okay, we want to get you self-insured. That's all the theory is. Client benefits. Go through these. Can you see the difference it makes for a family that goes through life with these benefits versus without them? Which one of these do you like best? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how would you rate your desire to become properly protected, debt-free, and financially independent? They say 10. Build a foundation. What do we say about how to talk about the foundation? Who knows? We went over it. Raise your hand if you think you know. What you say is, we're going to build you a financial house, and building a financial house is much like building anything. Any structure, any house, a building, right? The most important thing when building a house is and she said foundation, right? Now, she said, if I was your architect, I'm your builder, and I would come to you and say, let's build your foundation on cheap material, or not as quality material. What would you say? Let them say it. Right? Let them say it. Number one, we're dropping seeds that, one, you got to pay for it, and two, we're going to get good quality stuff, right? Because then when they say what happens? The question is, what happens if you build a house with a weak foundation? What do they say? It crumbles. And here, yeah, you're right. It'll crumble, and it'll come crumbling down on your family, right? You're painting visuals. You're with your words. The coverage quadrant. How much coverage do you currently have? They give you a number. Oh, I only have it through group. Or do you feel overinsured, underinsured, not sure? They say no insurance. You don't have to ask this. Okay. Say no insurance. You don't have to ask this. If they say no insurance, we're going to go to group first. We say, hey, can I take a minute and just show you about group insurance? And you go through the policy, not the policy, the certificate. And remember, you only have one chance, so you unload on group, and you build up, and you destroy and annihilate group, okay? Then we go to no coverage. Nope. Currently, you have no little life insurance on your own. You should do the same thing, following threes, and you say need for it, didn't need for it, didn't get around to it, which one best describes you. If protecting your family important enough, you would be willing to set aside some money each month to take care of this. Okay, if you get this question, if you've already gotten, they waste money, and you get this, you're going to make a sale. Okay, if they say this, I mean, don't mess it up, don't sell past the close, but you're going to close. Okay, you got to be feeling really good. If we can put together a program that would be affordable for you, is there any reason you wouldn't implement that program? Right? Then we go through funny banking, and then if they have term, we go through term insurance. All right. So 11:30. I have one more announcement I just want to announce. Okay, so tonight we have our winners dinner, and I want to announce the winners, and I want to make sure we didn't miss anybody. And my wife had to go out of town today, so I really need to, if you can't come, cool, tell Rotna right now, because we've got to order food and do all the planning and organization for it. And I don't think there are going to be any extras coming, okay? We just can't do that. So stand up if I called you, if I call you. You qualify, if you can come, come. If you can't, tell Rotna. Jennifer Lee, give her a round of applause. Elsa Hoffman, Sophia Said, John Perez, Chandela Mike Jordan, Marilyn Harris, Logan Parker, Estito, Julian Kennedy, Rich Mackey, Raymond Edwards. Okay, so there are a couple of other people on here. They're not here in training, so I don't know if usually they have to actually be here to come to our events. Definitely the day of. Some people have legitimate stuff behind them. I'm not here. Let Rotna know right now if you can come. And if I missed you, okay, because we had trouble reading the report, and I'm sorry about that. If I did miss you, if you did after the 22nd, you did 1 by 1,000 personal, then go see Rotna and we'll verify it, okay? If I missed you, I'm sorry. We'll get it right next time. But we want to make sure we include everybody, and congratulations to all those people. And go see Rotna. Huh? I'm